But all right, welcome back to the show once again, Mr. Ollie Craig, Primal Pursuit, adventure man galore. Anyways, I had him on the show a little bit ago, and literally since I've had him on the show, I turned around, I blinked, and then you were like, had a shit ton of followers. You just seem to be doing like exponentially more and doing more and more and more of different stuff. Like you're in, I think we shot that sheep that we went hunting up in New Zealand where you're from, and it was like you're hunting now, then you're like off in BFE, for those of you who understand, buttfuck Egypt, like doing something, like shooting.
Yeah.
You're always either soloing it, which I kind of was like, wow, okay. You're just doing some adventurous, cool shit. So I wanted to have you back on because I think we kind of glazed over some stuff last time, but it seems like you've gone like full blitz, like, hey, I can make a living doing this. Let's fucking go. So welcome back to the show, Ollie.
Yeah. Happy to be back and have a good catch up. Yeah. Good. Yeah, by the way, it was Himalayan tar, not a sheep. I might get a bit of stick if I've been out sheep hunting, because that would be a bit easy. But yeah, Himalayan tar, they're not many places in the world you can hunt those. So yeah, pretty lucky here in New Zealand.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because I know it's not spearfish related, but that looked pretty cool. I mean, that terrain looked, dude, you got to be in phenomenal shape to be climbing up those fucking mountains. That looked like a ruck march from hell.
Shit, man. Yeah, those Southern Alps of New Zealand, I'm really kind of pissed that I haven't got into hunting down there or just spending time down the South Island all my life. But, that's how it happens. There's lots of things, angry that you don't get into, even spearfishing. I mean, I didn't start that till I was, 26 or something. So, yeah, anyways, it's wild down there, pretty gnarly country. Like you said, you have to be bloody fit to walk in. And I thought I was fit, and I still suffered big time. Yeah, it was hard.
What
I've done my life.
How long did that take for that hunt? Like, how did you even come about doing that? Did you get a phone call from a buddy or something? And it's like,
I kind of wanted to do a tar hunt for quite a few years, and I'd put it up on social media actually, because it can be quite a hard one to organise if you don't know the area and this and that. So I said, is anyone keen on a swap for a kingy hunt up north? I'll take them out spearfishing and swap for a tar hunt. And got a guy who kind of reached out, and so went out with him, and we've kind of ended up being mates. He's been up shooting kingfish up north, and I've been back down there twice now. So yeah, but now I've kind of got an idea of it. It's actually very doable for anyone. A bit of knowledge and quite a bit of fitness. Yeah, fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, the terrain down there. I mean, I've seen a couple other shows where dudes are like, you guys just got the eels there, like crazy eels. Like I watch so many National Geographic shows, and just New Zealand just seems like a special, unique place in the world. But the terrain is like, reminds me of like a cross between, the Rocky Mountains and like the redwood forest as far as density. Like here, it just seems fucking wild, just super cool. Super cool.
So, it's so diverse, literally, like this small little country with a 2-hour plane ride from the sunny beaches in the north to the big deep bushes and fjords down south. It's it just changes so fast within an hour or two, even down south. So yeah, it's wild, man. It's sitting on a big fault line, so lots of old volcanoes and hence the big Southern Alps running most of the country, half the country and stuff. Yeah, so that plays a lot to it. Unfortunately, a few earthquakes in a few areas, but
right,
it pays off for the hunting, all this gnarly terrain. Yeah.
And then they also have, is it the South Island or the North Island with the big bluefin as well down there?
Mate, they're kind of all over these days. Like, it's just getting better and better, the tuna fishery, as we find out. But definitely the West Coast, you get some of the big boys off around the hokey trawlers. Guys go chase those in the winter. Then they do a big run up the East Coast in the winter, where I kind of targeted them last year. And now we've just had reports literally these last few weeks of, I think they're northern or Pacific bluefin, kind of 200 kilo odd fish cruising right in close around the Bay of Islands up up Northland, far north of the North Island, in like 15, 20 meters of water. It's getting wild, yeah. So then we do get the yellowfin in summer. So yeah, we're known for kind of not that many species to hunt in terms of pelagics compared to the world, but it's getting better as we figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so when everyone yells the sky is falling and the world's coming to an end and the fisheries are all dead, every time I talk to people, it seems like definitely in certain areas or certain types of fish, they're thriving and we're seeing more and more of them. Have you seen, like, but it's funny, the last few years here, it seems like our window of bluefin has gone down. Like, we still get them, but it's like they're only here for like a couple weeks and they head out more, but it seems like we're not getting as many as we used to get. Either they're getting wiser or they're getting scarcer or they're just not migrating here. I don't know. But for you, have you noticed like they weren't there before, or now they're just getting more and more of them are just kind
of... a lot of it was just figuring out that they're there. Especially like the East Coast run, they were hit hard in, I believe, the early 70s by like the Japanese trawlers and stuff, longliners and stuff. I'm not 100% correct, but I believe they stopped all that. And it's just taken a few decades and they are just coming back in numbers. So, and then it kind of was a bit of a secret between locals that had caught on to this fishery and had figured it out, because you can go out, I don't know, what is it, roughly 15, 20 miles off the East Coast and you're in about 1,000 meters of water, and there's just in the amongst of a massive bluefin run. So really accessible by trailer boats, but it just seems to be getting better and better each year. So it's, yeah, like you said, some species in New Zealand are dwindling, reefies or just certain areas, but yeah, like you said, some things are getting better. So it's bizarre. But like you said, the bluefin are kind of maybe changing their path. We had big runs in the 70s, of 80s of big yellowfin off the west coast up the North Island, and they've just kind of disappeared. So, and the fishery out there is kind of stronger in some sense for other species. So it's interesting. Maybe they do just change their path, or don't know.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it is interesting. And it's like when you think about it, as you look at it as a whole, we've only been tracking with the science, like we've had tags on. We've only been able to really track these fish for not that many years. So we don't know like what's a full cycle and not. And I'm kind of like of like their behavior. Like I honestly think it's only been a few years really we've been paying attention of like mapping the bigger ones where they go, the smaller ones stay here, the bigger ones go here. It's kind of wild because what you're talking about sounds exactly like our fishery as well. We had this big boom, and then we had laws like the dolphin safe kind of thing, and it pushed the fleet out to Samoa when they stopped. It was too expensive shop, so they can kill dolphins in Samoa, and that's okay because it, we put a dolphin safe sticker on it. I don't know how dolphin safe it was, but whatever.
Yeah,
and then
looked into that dolphin sticker.
Yeah,
yes,
it's such a scam, dude.
Yeah.
And it's funny because where I live, the community I live in is a huge Portuguese fishing community, and they were here like with the tuna big run in the early on, and then like you said, it kind of dwindled out, and then it came back, and it kind of sparked where like a group of fishermen kind of stumbled across the big bluefin. And then it started like this gold rush of bluefin again. And then in 2015, they like showed back up. But there were people I know that were still running into them occasionally. It was like you said, like a little like hush hush, like, yeah, if you try enough, you'll find them. They're out there. But then I think, with the aid of social media and the way things travel, it's like once you find them, man, the word gets out quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool though. That's cool. You guys are getting them down there. And then I feel like, with the reef fish, it's like, man, they're local fish, so they get really hit, and they're kind of usually slow growing depending on the pipes or whatever they are. It depends on the population and all of that too, I guess, of the people and the pressure they have.
Yeah, we've got like our main Hauraki Gulf out of Auckland, our biggest city in the North Island. It's just in a collapse, really, compared to what it is. But it's definitely a mix of kind of overfishing, sediment runoffs, and just all sorts of stuff. There's not one cause. It's pretty hard to pinpoint it, but yeah, it's pretty dire. But like most places in the world, big cities, big populations seems to be the biggest factor or correlation. Yeah.
So were you able to get a bluefin this year? You said you went looking for them.
Didn't get them on the spear, but caught a couple on the rods. So wasn't complaining. Obviously, it's bloody good chewing. Yeah, we just had no one that I believe has speared one out on the east coast where I was targeting yet, because they just hang deeper. It's pretty hard to bring them up. But I'm sure someone will figure it out soon enough. But yeah, the plan is next year to get down the South Island and head off the west coast, because quite a few guys have been spearing them off there, and big fish. Yeah, they've chased the hokey trawlers way off the west coast there, and there's kind of like a patch in between seamounts, and seems to be pretty good. I've seen guys hand feeding kind of 100 plus bluefin next to their boats and stuff, fishermen and stuff, just wild scenes. So yeah, that's next year's mission for sure.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of that too, and it looks like a whale comes up and just engulfs.
Next level.
I think MJK and then Coatesman, Chris Coates, has a video of them shooting big bluefin down there a few years ago.
Yeah, unreal.
600 pounds or something, like 600 pounds, like 300 kilo, like 250 kilograms.
Yeah, they'll get up to kind of 500. I think it's there. Is it the Northern Pacific or something? There's one species I always get mixed up. But yeah, they get enormous there. Buses. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, so where I see you got your Senator boats on, Senator's your shirt. So how did you end up linking up with Senator, or you just wanted to get a Senator boat? You're like, fuck it, I'm in. Let's do it. And
geez, did we talk before I got my first one? We must have, maybe.
Yeah.
They reached out to me. I had a few offers at the time, as the channel was growing, and I had a couple, and I was kind of holding off. No need to jump the gun. It was kind of that merge, that time with the channel where I was getting a few offers and stuff. So it came down to two brands and two great boat companies, and mostly it was just meeting the people involved, and I just met the owner of Senator, and he is such a good bugger. I just knew it was a good relationship. We just had kind of similar values, and I'd done quite a bit of reading online, and just in terms of rideability, and quality. It all made sense. So I'm really stoked. They're an awesome boat company, and really helped me. It's a two-way relationship. I'm helping them with a bit of promotion, and we've got a good relationship, which is so important.
So you get to design the boat the way you wanted it. I think I know the other brand that you're talking about. My buddy owns one here, and we go out a lot, but out of respect, I won't mention that. But did you get a hand in designing it and everything, or?
I've had a bit of hand in certain things, and a lot of my feedback. A few things I've been able to tweak in the designs, but they're just so well set up, man. Like for spearing, you just need storage and space, and there's a lot of deck space on these boats, and man, they're just awesome. So I haven't had to do much actually. I ended up taking a lot of stuff out and simplifying the boats actually, because they're quite modular, especially my current one. So just simplifying it, and
I think the biggest thing for a boat, and I tell everybody this, is deck space, especially for spearing. You need deck space. You got lines, you got equipment, shit everywhere. Yeah, and you can never have enough deck space just for simplicity reasons and gear, and safety too. The one thing I also would say about those particular boats, because those are all aluminum, right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, they are so fuel efficient and run so well. Like,
very handy for New Zealand, because a lot of places around the world, you're either you're just heading out to a local spot. You're like, you're not traveling around the country all the time. But here it's kind of, we've just got so many options. So you do travel around to different spots with the boat on the trailer, chasing those different areas which are protected from the wind and swell. And because we're lucky, there's so many little islands and peninsulas. You end up traveling a lot on the road. So yeah, just towing as well. Nice light boat for fuel as well. On land and on water, 100%, man. Very fuel efficient.
Yeah, I kind of fell in love with those types of boats down in New Zealand just because, like I said, my friend owns one similar.
Yeah.
And man, it's so simple. And the wash down is simple.
Yeah.
Everything is simple about it. And it's like everything kind of makes sense on it. And you'd be surprised though how small the boat is for how much usable space there is.
Yeah. I mean, there's no denying kind of like a big, huge, deep hull fiberglass boat ride better. I mean, but hey, there's a lot of pros and cons to having a boat like that. But in general, there's a reason why the aluminium boats are so popular here, especially these chamber boats like ours. You guys call them chamber, I believe, pontoon, similar thing.
Yeah.
Air-filled chambers, foam-filled, just for safety heading out. There's so many bar crossings here, and you can fill them up with water; they won't sink. So they're pretty cool. Yeah, good for the family. Yeah.
So,
not for me. I wouldn't worry too much. Usually got my wetsuit on. I'll be safe. But yeah.
That sounds like my first boat I had. I go, well, if this thing sinks, we can just swim in. I'm out like $500. We're good. Like this thing is. I just don't take it out any farther than I couldn't swim because it had a leak in it. But when you were out of the boat diving, it's a little aluminum. When you're out of the boat diving, it didn't leak. But when you're in, it leaked. So it was like, just hurry up, get your stuff on so we can get out of the boat so it stops leaking. Yeah. Very awesome.
Everyone started with some sketchy kind of boats. My first inflatable boat was a bit rough. I used to have wires hanging out of the back and was starting it with wires and shutting it down the same and getting electric shocks and all sorts of stuff. But it was it worked. We got fish.
Yeah.
You always end up getting some of your biggest fish off these first crappy boats and off kayaks and shore dives and all crazy scenarios. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but definitely helps.
No, you're 100% right. I feel like too, like they're so cheap. I mean, I don't know, man. I have my best memories are like in my shitty, we called it the Death Trap 3. So that everybody would wonder what happened to the Death Trap 1 and 2,
Yeah.
And we painted a big shark face on the side with spray paint, like it was a piece of shit, but it was awesome. We're completely overpowered, like it was great. But yeah, you get the most coolest fish on those boats, and you're like, and it cost me nothing because it's so small and cheap to run, and I brought it here myself.
Yeah,
I can do like 10 of these runs with this little boat compared to the luxury of like cost wise for gas and fuel. So what's your channel, your YouTube channel? So I remember when we talked, I don't remember how many subscribers you had. I want to say like 50, but I don't. How many subscribers do you have now? 50,000.
It's just ticking up close to 80,000. I think we might have quite a lot less. I reckon it might have even been about 25 or 30 back then.
That's what I thought. Maybe less.
Yeah, even less. Yeah, it wasn't much. So it's slowly getting there, man. Trying to hit that 100K mark. But yeah, I'm happy, man. It's it's just I'm going in the right direction. I'm just enjoying what I'm doing, so it's no rush, man. Kind of it's working for me. I'm surviving.
Yeah.
It's fine. Hasn't blown up per se, but that's all cool, mate. Yeah.
What's your strategy for like? Are you trying to do content like frequency? Or are you trying to just focus on just doing a good story for the long form? Because I've heard like my cousin who's a huge influencer in volleyball, she's like, you got to post 3 times a day, Brett. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really trying to make a living doing this. I'm just trying to share stuff, where other friends are like, hey, YouTube now changed your algorithm. You got to focus on like a long story, a good story, and hit them with shorts. And have you ever looked at that, or are you just doing your thing?
It's hard, man. Like you just go around in circles trying to follow trends and this and that, and then that you think you've cracked it, that doesn't work, and then you put something out that's you think's going to bomb and it goes well, and you just go crazy, man. I like being out there as much as possible, so I just kind of film when I do it and upload it and kind of whatever it works out to be, but try and keep semi-consistent, even if it's a couple a month, one or two. It's a hard game, man, just trying to figure it all out. I know how I could blow up the channel and do what a lot of spearfishing channels do, and I survived on an island and all this
24 hours
stuff. 24 hours hand spear,
catch and cook.
You got it. Hot chicks and G-strings on the thumbnail. That's a sure way to some views. But and I have people telling me just do it, Ollie, but I don't know. We'll see.
No, man, you sound exactly like me. Yeah, I've interviewed enough people and I know what they say and all that. I'm not going to like sell out. I don't know. As much as it would be nice to obviously grow and all of that, I'd rather just do it the way that I would like to do it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I had a great run. Yeah. And also, like you said, the chicks with G-strings and all that stuff, it's totally true. It works. I mean, shit. I don't
actually call it selling out. I used to think that, but at the end of the day, man,
game.
Guys like me who are full time on this, it's a business, and whatever, man. Like,
yeah,
mix it in with some normal stuff. So fair game to anyone, man. At the end of the day, it's a business. You're still putting awesome content out, free content for people. So like, yeah.
You know, it's funny, but people that I hear so many people talk shit about Brody from Youngbloods, right? And I'm like, you got to take a step back and be like, yeah, maybe he's a little kooky or maybe he's this or that, but that dude fucking is winning. Like,
yeah, he's paved the way and shown a lot of other channels, that you can make a living off this and stuff. He's awesome. Right? It's just, that's just the sad people that do all the other crappy comments. They're just got issues in their own life. Yeah, no, good on Brody, man. What a legend. He's good. Yeah, good on him.
I mean, and I mean, first of all, when my youngest daughter watches him, and I was like, well, dude,
yeah,
like he's managed to grasp men of my age and women of my age, and then he's managed to grasp my daughter, who's like, Dad, check this out. And the next thing you know, the whole fucking family's sitting there watching Brody, chase around a turtle or some shit. Yeah. But it's beautiful where he lives too. That's the other thing. He lives. It's like, dude, come on, man. And then, obviously he's got his good-looking girlfriend, but he's constantly just playing and filming it. And I'm like, the only thing I have for that guy is like, well, damn, I wish that was me. I was able to do that shit. Just live,
Yeah, fucking jealous people as usual.
And rips at surfing too. I'm like, is this fucking guy not good at anything? Like, shredded. He rips.
Yeah.
Fuck, I hate this guy, but hats off to you.
Yeah, people are funny. When I first got my first Senator boat, it's only a 4.1 meter tinny, and my little IB was 3.8 meters technically. So, 20, 30 centimeters in boat length, and I was getting hassled for selling out then because I've got this big flash boat. And I said, mate, it's a 4 meter tinny. Yeah, there's quite a few comments about that. So it doesn't matter what you do. You just, as many people saying, like Joe Rogan, you shouldn't read the comments. But unfortunately, I still do a bit. Do you like to interact a bit? But
yeah.
Don't focus on those. Yeah,
I do feel like if you don't have someone talking shit about you, you're not doing something right. I do try to, like, it's actually like somebody. I feel like you're if someone is not, if they're giving you critiques and like actual constructive feedback, that's one thing which I welcome. But if they're like, you're a fucking kook or you're a tool or something, you're like, oh, that's perfect. I mean, that means I'm doing something right, because I don't want you fucking losers listening to my shit anyways. So, you know what I mean? Like, you're not my fucking person I'm trying to hang out with, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But I think, for every one of them, like, you're obviously doing something right, because jealousy, like I tell my kids this shit too, like, keep going down this rabbit hole, but it's like, I remember being a little kid watching Kelly Slater surf and just rooting for Kelly Slater to lose because he won everything.
Yeah.
And then there was like, as I matured, I was like, man, I never wanted to see Kelly Slater lose because I just want him to win everything. And part of it was like the jealousy of like, man, he just fucked up the whole equilibrium of surfing because he's so good. And he's good looking and he's like got all the hot girls and he's rich. And I fucking hate this guy, right? But I'm like a junior high kid, like a smart young kid. Yeah. And then you get older, you're like, oh, I know where all that was coming from. I want to be fucking Kelly Slater.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, and then you just root for him to keep crushing it because pretty soon, like, you know, if he can do it, then I can do it. Like, kind of thing as he gets older.
How good is Kelly? I've always said he's arguably the best sportsman of all time because the amount of decades at the top and like literally top five, like unbelievable, man. I think he is incredible.
I think he's definitely in the conversation.
He's up there.
When you're considering it's physically the physical demand and agility, especially for when he's 50 at the time or whatever it was, and that it takes to do that skill, just like a tennis player.
Yeah.
Kind of like look at tennis players like running around for 3 hours or fucking whatever they do and the agility and the, you know, you're like, how long have they been at the top for? Imagine if a tennis player was to maybe be at the top for X amount of time. I don't know, but like for that dude to be on that grind year round traveling and still just destroying kids half his age, like, you know, and making everybody better, like says a lot. I think so. I mean, completely, he did shit that nobody thought was possible.
Yeah.
And he made everybody better. Like there would be no fucking Andy Irons without Kelly Slater.
Yeah.
There would be no Mick Fanning, you know, like those guys, that crew, he made all of them better. It's like, he's crazy, man. I don't know how the fuck he grinded it out like for that long. I mean, hats off to him. To me, it was like another sports guy that I love is Djokovic from tennis. I'm not a huge tennis fan. My wife loves to watch tennis, but Djokovic, when he won the Olympics, did you watch that?
I didn't watch it last year. I kind of saw the opening ceremony and all that.
Yeah.
We get to like drama, and I'm like, oh, this is not looking good. I can't be bothered with this shit.
I guess I was in the middle of the country, and I took my nieces and nephew to the county fair, so I didn't see the opening. But when I got home, I heard all about it from my super conservative family members. I saw Djokovic's tennis player, and he's fucking, 30, I don't know how old he is, 38, maybe he's older, and he won everything. And I always liked him a long time ago, but I respect him for he didn't do the Australian Open. They wouldn't have him in the country because he didn't want to get vaccinated. He's like, okay, then I'm not coming.
Yeah,
no, a lot of shit for it.
And yes, that was really cool.
And I think like the biggest thing with him, like whether you agree with that particular thing or not, he didn't fucking waver. No, I respect someone that stands on their shit. Like he didn't. And then he comes out and wins the Olympics and then just lost his shit crying.
Yeah.
And he's like, and everything. Like, I was like, that's what winning a gold medal should feel like. Not
100%. Yeah. That was so awesome to see. Big respect to him. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know. That's talking about sports now, but meanwhile, dudes are bitching because they're not getting paid $500 million instead of fucking, whatever. I don't want to get going on that stuff, football and stuff. But, so Solomon Islands, let's talk about this though. Like your channel's blowing up. Is that what kind of sparked you to go farther? Like you're getting some income, a little bit of income now, like really just go, hey, you know what? I can do this. Let's go bigger and better, and start going to different places.
I just probably was a money thing for a while, like I'd come off working soup yachts and stuff and good coin and stuff and come back to New Zealand and kind of came back to square one, and it took a couple of years to actually just build up a solid income again, especially as I went in on YouTube full time kind of as soon as I could, which meant I was kind of just scraping by. So international trips were off cards, to be fair, for a while. so that was a big part of it. And yeah, I just want to diversify a bit. Like, apart from like hunting in New Zealand, the spearfishing, the majority of it is, this kind of snapper and kingfish. Like, there's like a couple of main species. So I thought it'd be a bit more interesting for viewers and myself. Like, yeah, of course, any spearer would love to travel around remote places in the world and dive. Like, so yeah. And another big thing was just getting to the tropics and clean blue water, warm water. Man, it greatly improves your diving. When you're in a thick 5 mil wetsuit here in New Zealand, 8 kilos of lead around your waist or more, cold water, green water, it's definitely harder to improve your depth and just relax more. When you're in crystal clear water, you're more relaxed, in a rash vest or a 3 mil suit, just stuff like that, man. It's, I improved dramatically. So each time I go up, I'm actually really improving my diving. Yeah, it's cool. So, I mean, you can go on. It's just epic up in the tropics, these remote spots. Unbelievable. Yeah, so many more species to hunt, you name it. I just love traveling, culture. Yeah, all the Pacific Islanders, they're so friendly. And you just always come home with like such a new perspective on life. You just always, it's so good to get out of the country, even like just get out of your city, away from, where you live. If it's 3 hours drive or an hour plane ride, it's so good just to get out of your everyday grind. Yeah, I highly rate that, eh?
Yeah, it sounds like one of the guys I talked to on this episode, Leighton, he was saying the same kind of thing about just traveling around. He went to Solomon's as well, and he's in Papua New Guinea. Yeah. And yeah, man, like, and that's what my love affair for the South Pacific is also, just those islands, those people you meet, they have nothing, and the happiest, nicest people, simplest living and healthy, minus the healthcare and the other needs and stuff like that are tough in those areas, but like really just mentally just fucking great people with good values and everything. And then you dive in these places and they're just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then you come back here and then you hear all the conversations and you're like, why do I give a shit about any of this stuff? Like,
man, just coming back from the Solomons, they're just seriously happy people, nice people. And like you said, healthy. They're just like ripped, like people are like 69, 70 years old. This old guy was making a bow and arrow with us and stuff, and they're just healthy, man. Like, and yeah, there's literally just no shops with any processed toxic garbage junk to buy. Like, they're just living off their land, like literally, apart from some rice and a few things they import by boat. That's like, yeah, it's goes to show you, health isn't that insane. They don't have a gym there. They're not working out and stuff. They're just eating well and in nature, sunlight, just the simple things, man.
Yeah, I saw that post on your Instagram where I think you're in the Solomons and you're shaking hands with the natives, and everybody's just shredded, just built for survival, durability,
Yeah, I mean, sure, the Pacific Islanders all over, they do have some pretty amazing genetics, but still, they're healthier in those remote spots for sure, man.
Yeah. What do you say was like the most? Because you went to Fiji as well, too, right? You went to Fiji.
Just got back from Fiji, and I did that. Yeah, I've done that kind of 2 years in a row. The Solomons in Fiji. What was the question? Sorry.
I was going to say, what do you think like was kind of the bigger differences between the Solomons and Fiji? Because I've been to Fiji before, and like I would say those two areas, right? The people are darker, right? They can look like more African American, like African descent kind of people, more than Polynesian, I guess. But culture wise, is it fairly different, or is it kind of similar?
Kind of hard to compare because where I was in Fiji, couple of hours north of Nadi, the main spot where everyone goes, Port Danarel, which is pretty much fake Fiji. It's just an island with resorts. People don't usually see the real Fiji. I think I kind of got about halfway there in terms of the real Fiji, like remoteness. Met some awesome people up there. a lot more simplistic. Yeah, getting pretty close. I think just, the more remote, I think everyone's just essentially the same. Kind of got plans to go back to some even further remote islands in Fiji next year, so maybe I'll have a bit more of a comparison then. But hard to compare apples
How did
there.
you end up getting linked up in Fiji in that area? Because I've been to Fiji. We flew into Nandi, and then we went to the islands and did the honeymoon thing, and then went over to the villagers and the whole tourist thing.
Yeah, because there's not many operators there really. You can kind of hire longboats and stuff out and stuff, and kind of get on surf boats and get out to the surf breaks, which a lot of guys end up doing. But I just seen another Kiwi had been over to Fiji diving, so hit him up. I said, "Oh, yeah, help me out, mate. Who's the guy?" Got in touch, and a guy called Dan from Raki Raki up in Raki Raki Voli area, North Fiji. He's a legend. So he's running charters up there for anyone. Spearfishing Fiji on Instagram, and really awesome dude. Yeah, and the diving up there is incredible. The coral reefs, arguably the best I've seen in the world. Like incredible. Yeah, and it's still untapped. Kind of, he's only figured out the wahoo up there in the last kind of, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. Like, haven't really cracked onto the doggies up there yet. Like, it's there's so much to explore, and that's kind of the whole Pacific. It's the same scenario, really. It's just getting access to these areas. Like, it's pretty good for pelagics if you can just get to these areas, like anywhere. Yeah.
That's why I have a good friend. I actually had him on this show as well. He traveled the South Pacific for like 5 years. He and his wife, and ended up having children along the way. But like, I'm like, dude, I can't imagine the shit you have seen. Like, he's like, oh yeah, we've been here. He would hunt doggies by like tying with his dinghy, attaching his dinghy to the eye-ring of the boat of his little inflatable, and he'd go to reef pass and he would like shoot. I'm like, what the like, this is crazy.
Yeah, those sailing channels and stuff, they're generally just cleaning up on the fish because they're just in undived spots. Yeah.
And the loads of sharks, I guess, because it's healthy, just all the adventures. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, one day that might be the end goal. Get on a cat. I'd love to do that. Yeah, do the whole Pacific. So, okay.
Yeah. So you have a trip coming up now. You're trying to. So the Solomon thing, are you trying to do a trip now and just see who wants to come aboard and like kind of guide stuff? Or are you trying to get into guiding?
Yeah, I'm just going to give it a go. So I've got a trip coming up in literally about 5-6 weeks back to this spot in the Solomons. Got along really well with the owner of the lodge there. He's an Aussie guy, just a legend, Woody. And just going to bring a group over there. Means I can almost do a trip for free, maybe a bit of coin on the side, and just it'd be cool just to bring a crew. And a lot of people it's hard for them to figure out how to get to places and make these trips happen. And I get it. It can be quite difficult. Even for me, unless you kind of get a contact, it's pretty hard to figure out logistics and everything for some of these spots. I landed on that spot in the Solomons just by scrolling on Google Earth, and I was looking for a remote spot somewhere and somehow found that one. So, just love it there. I'd love to share it with people. So we'll see how that goes. Bringing a group of up to 10 with me, and it might be a regular thing, or we'll see.
Yeah,
might hate it. I think I'll love it. Yeah,
you do.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
I'm always afraid like you'd only get that one guy that nobody would like, and he'd just be a pain in the ass the whole trip. But I
really all the risk. Yeah, that might be me. Maybe they'll hate me. Yeah, there's a risk. But like I said, I'll give it a crack, and we'll see, man. We'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, good luck on that. There's like that. I think the thing about the South Pacific is you could literally visit an island like every day and never go to every island, every spot. Like it's just incredible. There's just so few people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So the spot's pretty cool, pretty fishy. You can only get there by about a 2-hour boat ride after an international flight, and then after another small plane skipping a few islands. So it's a bit of a mission. So missions are good. That's where the fish are generally.
Yeah, to get away from population.
Yeah.
So besides doing that, or is there any other places that you are thinking about checking out or
Man,
like go back to?
There's too many, eh? Like, I haven't done a hell of a lot around the Pacific. There's heaps on the list. Niue seems to be a favourite for Spearos, like just all year round, like 60-metre viz, just stupid purple water, and they got good pelagics there, fads, so pretty consistent. Right.
What was that?
Island called Niue, 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 something like that. Really cool little island. Guys do well there. Because even if you just have a trip where you're just swimming that clear water, man, like it's just so nice, especially from New Zealand, a bit more murkier water. I've got an island next year planned for Fiji, but I just won't spill the beans yet. I don't like to do that. Yeah, it often just doesn't work out if I'm telling everyone my plans. So I won't jinx myself there, but it's an island basically you can't get to unless you are friends of a local or family. So I've got the invite through a friend there now, so fingers crossed for that trip. But the world's massive, as you know. Like, I'd love to get back down to Africa ways. I've got a mate in South Africa, so I'm going to try and get down there next year, head up the Transkei for the South Africans listening. Apparently it's a real wild piece of coastline. Get back down to Madagascar, that kind of part of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. It's like, man, people were like, oh, if I wouldn't know what to do if I retired or I was rich, I'm like, I would stop working and I would literally just I would make a list of my 100 places that I want to go and just start going.
Yeah.
And then when you get to there, you realize you just skim the surface of it. So you want to go back to that same spot to understand it more and really see the full potential. And then you end up meeting all these great people. And all you want to do is just go hang out. And then it's funny because the spearing kind of comes second, where it's just meeting and hanging out with really cool people.
Well, that's culture. Me this year, 100%. That's why I went back to the Solomons and back to Fiji. I could have went anywhere in the world, but I've just made such good mates with these guys. And like you said, I talked to my mate in Fiji, and I said, "Oh." He's like, "Come over, mate." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just looking at the weather." And then I just messaged him and I said, "Oh, fuck it. I'm just going to come over, mate. I don't care if we just sit around drinking kava and drinking cold beer each night. But I don't care, mate." Yeah. So it was a bonus. And often if you look at it like that, you end up having some amazing days out, which we did anyway. So, it definitely gets like that because, you can go on these trips and you might just, not meet anyone you vibe with, and it's a big part of it. As I said at the start of their relationships, it's a big thing of life. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's 100% it. And I think that's what kind of drives us, I don't know, as adventurers. It's like chasing the fish is obviously the one thing, but being a truly adventurer is kind of goes with the territory of loving the culture and all that stuff, and just seeing there's so much more to places than fish. If there was a bunch of assholes, it'd be you'd get over it. But if you go somewhere and it's just truly everything about it is just badass, it's the fish is really the bonus.
Especially the more you kind of tick off species and stuff. At the start you're hunting and you want to tick off this species and that, but once you kind of start to knock most of them off,
right,
just a bonus, and you don't care what size it is, even if you fish and all that. It's a bonus, as you say. But I'm still chasing big fish and species.
Me too. I still got a hit list I gotta accomplish. Your wahoo, speaking of which, how big was it? How big was that wahoo?
I've learnt the technique of holding fish out a bit, but no, it wasn't big. I don't know, we didn't weigh it, but I didn't care. I was
like 25 kilos or something. It looked like a nice fish.
Nah, probably more like 15.
Okay.
But it was, I was so stoked because I had some nightmare scenarios last year hunting them and missed some good fish, probably up to 30 due to my spear gun. I'm blaming, but yeah, picked it off anyways, and that was late in the season. We're pretty lucky to see one, so I'm wrapped, man. Just done, job done.
Yeah. So what do you use so what do you use to hunt? Like, what do you bring when you're going to these places? Because you could use anything from a pipe gun. Like, what do you usually go to guns? Because I know you use typical like Euro style, like.
Yeah, New Zealand was still like the most popular gun is a pipe gun. So I'm using Rob Allen. I've used him since day one. That's where I got all my spearfishing kit in South Africa at the time. So I've come down to a carbon 130 Rob Allen pipe gun, single roller. And I've actually been speaking with Rob Allen himself, going back and forth and seeing all of his videos they put on YouTube, which I recommend, like anyone using any spear gun, go and watch their testing they've done with spear guns, with max velocity, all their graphs, like testing. It's really like just basic, good instructional videos, straight to the point, no bullshit. And yeah, there's kind of a limitation on most spear guns. Like, there's no point having 20 bloody rubbers on a big wooden gun. You're not gonna gain much more. You look at Coatsman, which you mentioned earlier, him and MJK and stuff. They've shot 100 kilo tuners with single roller 130s. Yeah, if you move up to an 8 or 9 mil shaft, then yeah, you could arguably you can beef it up a bit more in terms of power. But mate, for travel, weight's a big thing. Just a single 130 roller, man, like it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that setup at the moment. 7.5 mil shaft. I like it. It's just some
pretty universal,
easy to carry. Just I like it. But who knows? Might play around with it. Some other guns in the future, man. I'm not stuck on anything. I like to try different gear, so we'll see.
Yeah, I know Coatsman, he had their big thing was like, I think it was the Mamba. I think it was a double roller 8 mil.
Yeah. And
that's like their big, like 200 pound, 100 kilo doggy gun.
Yeah.
Was that gun. Yeah, we had this whole conversation, my buddies and I, just too, like about the different idea of a smaller shaft. Yes, you're going to bend it. Probably going to bend a bigger shaft too. It doesn't matter. But the penetration discussion we have is like more kinetic energy, like with a larger diameter shaft. And it all is relative to range, I guess, too. There's a factor of range with hydrodynamics, but with a smaller diameter shaft, it's like a needle and it just goes right through because it doesn't have to displace as much meat. But then a bigger diameter shaft, it packs more potential power, but you need more bands to get it going because more water is working on it. But when it hits, the weight of it should penetrate more. There's like this whole, like you said, like Rob Allen and all the studies you could look at. I mean, dudes getting full on debates online about it. It's actually kind of cool, but Rob Allen does a really good job talking about knots, type of line,
everything. But smaller fish, thinner shaft's fine. But I've noticed even on kingfish, you hit gill plates and stuff with a 6.5, 7 mil shaft, and it doesn't have that kinetic energy. So and I've never shot monster doggies. Mine have only been 25, 30 kilo. So the guys that hunt the big ones religiously, I think that they definitely know what they're talking about, and you really do want probably an 8 mil shaft at least for those giants powered up. But same old story, guys go out there with a twin band bloody gun with 7 mil shaft on a reef dive and they end up shooting these monster fish, no issue. So but punching through bone and stuff, you want some punch, what I've understood. But I'm no expert to talk about that.
I've experienced it through loss, where it like hits the head and bounces off, like where it's like, or the fish turns and it, you're like, are you like a job fish?
Yeah.
Like just those big old hard head. Same with our kingies, with our kingfish or yellowtail with the head. If it turns the right way, just like, I use a smaller gun most of the time, because I just feel like you said, 80%, 90% of the stuff we shoot at requires a lot less than what we need. But Yeah, you jump in on the wall. You never know what's under there, until a marlin swims up, or you're like, ah, damn. Or tuna. There's always tuna on kelp patties here sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I'll ever get one of these massive invert rollers with 20 rubbers underneath. It just doesn't appeal to me, the complexities and stuff going wrong. It's just keeping things simple, or your kit. I'm just a firm believer in it. But each to their own.
I agree as well. No, I agree as well. The inverted roller thing makes the most sense, I guess. It's like a compound bow.
Yeah.
It does, but it's like, but if I can still use this other thing and get the job done, why do I want to invite all those problems?
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just speaking it because I've never done it, but I made a double roller.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And I made a double roller, and the gun is fucking phenomenal at 30 feet, like 27 feet. It's like,
yeah.
But to load the fucking thing takes like forever. And then if you load it in the wrong order, the bands kind of get tangled up, and you're like, well, I mean, it's one of those load it once, and I say it makes you a conservationist, because you don't want to reload it. So you wait, you're so selective.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is like reload this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you have a smaller gun, like a one band, you're like, just fill it in a stringer full of fish, because it's no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
So, do you have any other big projects or any other companies you're thinking about working with and trying to grow? I know it's funny is when you start putting stuff out on social media, your inbox gets flooded with, hey, you want to collaborate? Hey, you want to do this? You want to no.
Yeah, and I just get the most ridiculous requests from companies that don't even.
It's not even related to spearfishing. It's like, hey, these are it's a clothing line. And I was like, well, if you'd follow my account, you'd realize I haven't bought a fucking piece of clothing in like 10 years.
Yeah, or the old jewelry line. I think everyone gets one of those on Instagram. Yeah. I've got a few companies kind of in talks of stuff at the moment. Just taking it slow, and just being careful with taking on sponsors, as they can tend to, not in my experience, but what I've heard, they kind of, once you sign a deal, they expect more than even that deal, and they can, it's just a tricky one. You've got to really make sure you guys are on the same page about things, and again, relationships. But got a few things I'm working on. Again, won't say much to jinx those, but looking exciting, and it'll really help me out if these things go forward. Yeah, because
What other gear? Because you travel so much on your boat. I mean, is there any you kind of sound a little similar to me as far as like less is more. I keep it simple. I don't spend a lot of money on a lot of bells and whistles on things, just stuff that works. What kind of gear do you typically like to use? Products or stuff that you don't like, plastic fins versus carbon fins or whatever.
Yeah. I've played around with a lot of gear. I've still just stuck, obviously we've talked about Rob Allen guns. They're just like an AK-47. Nothing goes wrong. No mechanisms don't fail. Just nothing goes wrong. So that's we've covered. Currently in the Rob Allen wetsuit. Again, I just kind of, whatever comes and goes. There's so many good wetsuits out there these days. What else for gear?
How balanced money is because it's cheaper too. It's not cheaper; it's just fairly priced. The downs and everything. It's like you can't really beat it for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fins. I'm currently using some Divars and Negras. I don't know if it's whatever's happening there. It's working for me. Like, everyone is just so different. It just depends on your legs, your kicking styles, and a whole lot of factors. No fins set for anyone, but loving those at the moment. I think they've got some immersion pockets on there, so they're comfy for my feet. Don't know. Yeah, loving those. I think there's a reason why they've been quite popular around the world. What else am I using? Yeah, I don't know. Garmin watch, they're great. Just lost a $3,000 one in the Solomons, actually. So, yeah, I cannot figure it out for the dear of life, eh? I just cannot figure it out what happened to it. It might have flown off the boat when I was taking my wetsuit off, I don't know, so yeah, it's still
Oh my God.
I've only had it for a month or two, but yeah, far out. I don't know. GoPros for filming, had a bit of problems with those. I might try a DJI out. They look pretty good. There's Osmos. I've heard some good things, but I don't know.
Yeah. What is it? What is it? DJI?
DJI Osmo, the same as the drone. So apparently their little action cam's good.
Okay.
Yeah, who knows? What else? It's just all the basics, man.
Yeah.
All the other stuff's irrelevant, masks and snorkels and stuff. Again, that's just basics, whatever fits you. Yeah.
For your software, how do you going to the camera stuff? I mean, you're obviously filming this stuff with a purpose, like, and you do your post-production stuff, like your editing and all of that. Do you use like just regular iMovie stuff, or like what do you
I'm on Mac. I've got a MacBook, so I've just always used Final Cut Pro. I kind of learnt that at the very beginning and just stuck with it. I hear Adobe's kind of the top. If you're a pro, there's a lot more features, but like seriously, unless you're making the most incredible, I think there's plenty enough features even on Final Cut for most people. Even potentially iMovie. I don't know. I haven't used that for years. That's what I started on before I made spearing videos, making videos of mates' weekends out, boys' weekends and stuff. It did the job, to be honest. So yeah, you don't have to break the bank. I don't think it's just about learning software. But yeah, Final Cut Pro for all my editing works for me, anyways. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So how has traveling been on your home life? Like you said when we talked earlier, you were like, yeah, I'm just glad to be home. I'm assuming you don't have a girlfriend, or do you? Because she's going to be like, all right, do you take her on these trips as well, or no?
Nah, I'm a sole ranger at the moment.
Ladies,
that works for a lot of these trips. Oh, it wouldn't matter really, but now I'm a sole guy. Yeah, so it makes things what I do a bit easier, I suppose. Take off whenever, but yeah, don't know if that'll last forever. I'm gonna be a lone salty old pirate, but yeah, that's me at this stage. Yeah, but it's been good being back home. But yeah, as I said, I worked on the yachts for years, and essentially I could, obviously live off my YouTube. I could just be traveling the world full time, but after traveling around the world for years, it is nice to have a base, man. I enjoy it, so it's just nice to have a bit of a routine and whatnot, and not live out of a suitcase. So yeah, it's always in me though. When it's got that travel bug, it never leaves. So we'll see what the future brings. If I did, it would probably it would be on like a catamaran, like I said, and traveling around on a boat versus planing around. So we'll see what happens in a couple of years. Yeah,
very cool.
That'd be the plan. Yeah,
and if you do have a girlfriend, you can take her along with that.
Yeah, it might be the final piece to the puzzle for actually getting some views on my channel. Yeah.
Well, she's got to be hot, and then get her in a, and swim in this direction. Don't worry about it. I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah. So,
anyways,
that's the plan.
No, that's good stuff. Yeah. Oh man, no, it's wild. I was just wondering, because I living out of a suitcase, it's true. It's like one of those times you do it so often traveling, you wake up and you literally have to ask yourself, okay, where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Do it enough. Yeah, it happened. I mean, I know, speaking of our experience, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But no, very cool, man. I honestly wanted to have you back on because it was just like,
there's only so much. We're in a podcast, missed a bit.
Yeah, and you've grown so much. And it's like, and then your content, it is like, I've heard somebody say this too, there's just the more you do it, it gets better and better and better. And then you started going to Fiji, and then you started going to Solomon's. I was like, oh man. And then it's almost like your local stuff is better now because it's like, you don't see it as much. And you're like, oh, okay, back to the traditional, like your water looks beautiful. the environment you dive in looks beautiful.
Insane here. Kind of where I've moved up the last year. I've been closer access to some pretty neat spots. So I've just been, I guess, just hitting my local, I would say, a lot more and figuring it out. And yeah, man, I've got some crazy spots now. I've just been having the most amazing fishing right through winter. Some of the best diving I've had where it should be the slowest. So again, it's just about figuring out your local areas, like, yeah. And what we've figured out, like in the Solomons and stuff, moon phases and things are just absolutely so crucial. Just stuff like that. You really have to start recording stuff and figuring out those dates, because the last trip over, we were kind of in between moon phases, and it was a completely different experience to last year, just after the new moon. And you talk to any guys living in the tropics, local fishermen, they all absolutely swear by moon phases and tides. It's really crucial. I haven't found it so important back here in New Zealand, but maybe we just have that much fish in some of these spots. It doesn't really matter.
My friends and I were literally just talking about this, moon phases and dogtooth and certain things. I think too, part of it is like in those areas, the water is so clear that the light from the moon has way much more of an impact than like where it's more murkier or just not as clear. So like fish, it's way more obvious to fish when it's a full moon, you know?
What I've found, crucial. And I looked back at the dates, luckily, for Instagram and stuff, a good positive is you'd put up these pics and when they were and stuff, and did some research, and it was literally a couple of days after like the new moon and stuff last year, and just you Google on, use ChatGPT or Google, and it was all just everything aligned to these like specific days after a full or a new moon, and it's very crucial.
Yeah, I've been keeping a diary of just like my buddies' catches, and my catches, and then like seeing, and honestly, doing the podcast, you talk to so many people, you take little notes afterwards. You're like, okay, that's interesting, and you realize, regardless of where people are in the world, there's a lot of like similarities to the fish behavior.
Yeah,
like I remember I told the story before. It was like one night we were rigging up to go for a dog tooth hunt. And on Instagram, 3 of people I know posted the same picture of like, rigging up for a doggy hunt. And we were in one side of the world. They were on the other side of the world. And then another friend was in another region. Yeah. I was like, man, so obviously we're all on the same shit. If we're in 3 different areas and we're all doing the same stuff at the same time.
Yeah. Everything on this planet is so related to the moon. Like the hunting, we had 2 years difference, again, different moon phases and stuff, hunting deer, which is, affecting the female deer on cycle. And then, so the stags, they're not chasing the females if they're not cycling. And so you don't see them. And you can talk to a woman, find out how many women have their cycles lined up with moon phases. It's incredible, like the full moon, and people, how many times have you heard mates and family, had a crap sleep last night, couldn't sleep, full moon, and it's just like everything's affected. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, especially people that work in hospitals too. My mom used to work in a hospital. She said, it's a full moon, get ready.
Yeah,
all the crazies are out or whatever. Like, it's probably a little bit of truth to the whole werewolf thing. Looking at a full moon, you turn into a werewolf. Maybe the dude was just drunk and had where that came from years ago. We're just going crazy.
Funny story, actually. There's these guys in Fiji. The guy go and stay with. He knows a family, and they've got this. They've got this guy. He's got some sort of kind of mental disorder, but he goes absolutely batshit on a full moon. Literally, if they don't kind of keep him in the house, he'll like run off like kilometers up into the hills and the mountains and the jungles there, and like disappear for a couple of days. Man, like. Goes wild, yeah. I just found that, just remembered that story. I was having a laugh, yeah. So they kind of got to lock him up in some sense, yeah.
Holy shit,
yeah, literally werewolf stuff. I couldn't believe it, yeah.
Put Johnny in his cage, it's fucking full moon, But how do you know it's on full moon? Well, fucking Johnny's missing again.
Yeah, that's
fishing.
Forget the name they had for the guy. Yeah, poor guy. But Nah, that's all like important stuff. So, yeah.
Well, good stuff, man. I do appreciate you. Like we talked yesterday, I think, right? Like it's like, hey, let's just chat tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Like anything else you got coming up, or
just keeping an eye on the US election, mate.
Yeah, dude, let's go there.
It might affect my travel plans. See what unravels after November 5th. But no, yeah. Well,
I put my money in Bitcoin. So if I need to get out of Dodge, I can get it anywhere in the world. I got buddies of mine that are like, "Get your shit together."
Yeah.
Who knows what the fuck is going to happen?
No, and people who think it's just another election obviously have no idea what's going on in the world. It's this is very, very important time in our history. Yeah, exciting.
It's going to be interesting, especially like you're talking about, like with all the traveling I did for the military. It was so obvious to see like the state of our foreign policy was how we were treated when we traveled. Like fucking hands down, you either got fucked with or you didn't. Like, and it was very obvious to tell. And that's not a political part. It's like, to me, it's not like a right left thing. It's just a fucking fact. Like how we got fucked with, depending on was on whatever the foreign policy was at that time. And I plan to do a lot of traveling to some questionable areas in the near future for work. For a project I'm working on.
Right.
And I want to make sure that, like, regardless, right now we're at a fucking everybody's like, we're at World War III almost. Well, shit's not stable. I'll tell you that much. Like,
no,
that's not debatable for everybody, right? We all agree the fucking shit's all fucked up. Like, as far as foreign, but we got Iran, Israel, everybody's fucking pissed off. So we'll see. I want everything to calm the fuck down before I go gallivanting around the world.
Yeah. Shit, man. It's
yeah, we'll see. And then New Zealand, I mean, it's weird because there is like a little pack. It's like Australia, New Zealand. I mean, it's Western countries.
Yeah.
Somehow it's like if one of us gets involved in this shit, everybody's getting involved in it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Far out, man. Yeah. I'd like to think it's just going to blow over, but it's it looks pretty scary out there, to be honest. If you already know what's going on behind the scenes and you don't just watch the fake news, mainstream media, if you know what's going on, it's some pretty serious stuff. But we'll see what happens again.
Yeah, and the thing is too, tell everybody, it's like everyone has an agenda. I don't give a shit who which side they are. They all have an agenda.
Yeah.
Does that agenda benefit you? Or maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But it's going to definitely impact you, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, shit. You cannot, with the way everything is so, like, tightly wound right now. Like, so we'll see.
We'll see, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, just go get my own fucking fish.
Yeah. When are you coming down to New Zealand, man?
My wife, good question, because my wife actually might come down there next year for work. Probably should ask her. It wasn't next year. It's actually next year for work.
You're right.
And I told her, I was like, if you're going down there for work, I'm coming with you.
Yeah, for sure.
And then my wife has always wanted to go to New Zealand. That's one of her top on the list, right next to Ireland, where her family's from.
Yeah, nice.
So, yeah, so definitely, I don't know. I know if I ever go down to New Zealand for spearfishing, that's one of those trips that my wife's like, well, no, I'm coming with for that. And I go, okay. So we gotta,
Yeah, well, always soon. Yeah, but like even if it was in winter, like I said, it's been great. It's just getting weather gaps, unfortunately. Like that's the only issue we have here, breaks in weather. That's why I came back from the Solomons. I was here for about 4 or 5 weeks, and I barely could get out at all. So I was like, bugger this.
Yeah,
went back and went to Fiji, and it's I'm back here, and it's rough again, but it'll settle. It'll settle soon.
And I think that's part of the hard thing with you doing what you're able to do where you're at, is that it's visibility, and then the weather. Like when you're somewhere like where Brody or the tropics, you have this beautiful cinematography, clear blue water. It's much easier to grow a brand there. Unfortunately, that's not where we live. I mean, I live a similar area. I would say it's kind of similar where it's just like, 20 feet of maybe, 5 meters of visibility is fairly typical, 5, to 6 or something.
Yes.
But it's rough. Yeah, it's not as sexy as like fucking, 100 feet of visibility and, pelagic swimming up and stuff. So,
I get you. But yeah, that's why I'm kind of merging into a bit more hunting in my channel, which I absolutely love and kind of where I started. I was hunting before I started spearfishing. So I love that. And I think it transfers. So there'll be a bit more hunting coming on the channel. Just about to get set up with a bow and arrow, which I'm looking forward to. So get into some bow hunting. Yeah, go shoot some arrows between editing. Keep me sane. It's a bit tedious at times. It's not natural for me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say it's a bigger audience too. Like you're grasping a bigger audience, more relatable. I think now
I can screw up all the algorithms, but I don't really care, mate. I just enjoy in life. That's important. So
yeah. What are you gonna hunt for? What do you hunt down there? What are you gonna hunt next?
I'm actually going to go out next week and shoot a deer. I've got access to some land with plenty of animals just for meat. So yeah, go fill up the freezer, get ready for summer. We're coming into Christmas, summer months here, so plenty of barbecues and stuff. So go fill up the freezer with some venison. Probably won't be a YouTube video, but yeah, once I get on the bow, I'll get out for a deer hunt with that. But generally, we'll wait again until about March, April in New Zealand. That's when it's starting to get cooler, and that's the time for mating season for all the deer. And that's go chase the big red stags and the fallow bucks when they're all chasing the females around, making their noise. And they got the trophy heads. If you're into some headgear to take home for the wall, that's the time. It's fun.
Very nice, very nice.
Back up chasing. What'd you call them? Sheep. The
sheep. Okay, so in defense, here we have bighorn sheep.
You do?
And they're like, we have bighorn sheep, and they look a little bit like tar, but they're not like the sheep that you think of, where like with the wool sheep and all that. It's not like that. It's like looks like a
No, I've seen them. They're very
goat.
I'd love to hunt one of those one day.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. It's funny though, like you hunt them and then people, it's a once in a lifetime tag is what I've heard.
Yeah,
for hunting something like that. But then you go to like one of the national parks around here and there's like a herd of them. You could like walk up to them,
Yeah,
I'd probably just stab one or something.
Yeah. No, there's hunting all year round here in New Zealand if you want. It's just different seasons and times of year where the deer and stuff don't have antler for trophies. Otherwise, there's always meat animals and heaps of public land. So we're pretty lucky here, man. Very, very lucky.
There's not much of a population down there, huh? Like as far as like rural still.
Blocks and not many people. It's neat. So
are private landowners fairly open to knocking on the door and asking if you can hunt on their land?
A lot of them are, if you just come and be respectful and just put a genuine offer on the table. Unfortunately, there's just always a few idiots which ruin it for everyone else and stuff. But it doesn't take too much to ask. You can only try. But it can be quite difficult. Because you can understand these farmers as well. Like get it a lot, and like I said, a few idiots have done stupid stuff, so they just can't be bothered. It's just extra stress.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it different species when you get down to the South Island versus the North Island, or is it all kind of similar?
Like obviously like the Himalayan tar, they're alpine creature, the chamois, they only are found down south, but you'll have kind of fallow deer and red deer throughout most of the country. We've got rusa, we've got whitetail, we've got the wapiti, which you guys call elk. It's actually the Native American name, wapiti. I believe. Oh, geez, we've got Seeker. We've got quite a few different species in pockets, but generally red deer and fallow deer are kind of throughout most of the country. Pigs, rampant, goats, rampant. Yeah, so there's always something to shoot, kill.
Tasty.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, man.
No, plenty of food. That's very cool, man. Ollie, I just want to say thanks again for linking up with me so soon and always being open to share your stories.
Yeah, anytime, man. Catch up about the year and see what's cracking. Maybe if you're down here, we can do a podcast in person or something. That'd shoot here and go shoot some kingies. Be good.
Yeah.
We'll talk about where the world's at. Yeah.
I might be living down there permanently.
Yeah, I've got half built underground, mate. Yeah. Got plenty of ammo.
Perfect.
Good to go. No, cheers. Right. Been good, man.
Yeah, thank you. I always admire people that knowing how much effort goes into it, but you've always been very consistent and, like you said, not selling out, but just staying true to you. And it's always good, cool shit. Before we go though, would you have any recommendations for people that are diving solo? Like, people do it. I did it.
Like there's obviously the biggest consensus in the diving community is never dive alone. Obviously, anyone starting out, just go to a diving course, a free diving course, learn the basics, like not just breathing up to go down, increasing your breath hold, but coming up to the surface and doing recovery breaths, purging some of that CO2 and stuff, and just learning about surface times. So you don't build all that nitrogen up in your blood and all that stuff. So definitely just doing a course is like a huge investment. Like what's it going to cost you? A couple $100 for your life. And then, I don't know, man, like I guess the majority of my diving's in New Zealand where it's not deep. So there's less stuff building up in your blood, less dangers. It's always there, but geez, I don't know, man. It's a tough one to give advice on this thing, but I just never even remotely push it. The only times I've come close to even like feeling dizzy has been in the Solomons and the tropics when I've been hunting, 20 plus meters, 22 plus, pushing it on these doggies and fish. But I've always had buddy divers when I'm doing those deeper stuff. I wouldn't muck around doing, 25, 30 meters without buddy divers. Not a chance. Shallower stuff, I believe if you're not pushing it and stuff.
I call it snorkeling.
I mean, fuck, I tell everyone I'm more worried about driving to the dive spot, the risks of fucking just getting bowled off the road by a crazy driver. And there's so many risks in life. If you don't feel comfortable, then just don't do it. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, man. But
it is a touchy subject.
I think it's fine, and that's my opinion. Up to you.
I think it's a good thing to actually talk about because it's a reality. And the reason why I say it's a reality, like I have a friend that just had a baby and he's starting to move in this part of his life where you don't have time, like where he's surfing way more than he's fishing, spearfishing. And I went to the same part of my life because you can go surf in an hour where we live, come back. You're really hard pressed to go surf. You're talking about wetsuits and all this stuff like that, to go dive and spearfish in an hour and get anything. So as far as linking up when you have 2 to 3 hours and like planning something and finding someone that's on the same availability, it doesn't really exist. It's very, very hard. You probably would never dive often at all. You'd probably dive once or, it's just hard to do.
Yeah.
So there was a time I noticed he and I were talking about it. I go, yeah, there was a time when I barely dove. And if I did, I would dive solo all the time. Yes. There's nobody available.
Oh, and I say this again, and most people would agree. Like, I don't know what percentage, but I'm just going to throw a number. Like, I would say literally 95% of divers who go out and say, I'm diving with buddies and stuff, boom, straight away, they're diving in opposite directions. They might be They might be only 10, 20 meters apart, but that's not close enough. If you're an actual buddy diver, you need to have eyes on that diver the whole time and
Right.
wait until they come to the surface. And most guys go even further. They say, oh, we're buddy diving. They wait to their mates kind of a few meters before the surface coming up, and they dive straight away to maximize, having a guy down at the bottom. You should be waiting 5-10 seconds up on the surface, watching them breathe and making sure they don't black out 5 seconds after they come up, which is a prime time for blacking out as well. Like, most people, they're full of shit. They say they're buddy divers, but they're not really buddy diving, mate. So, yeah. The majority of people are actually diving solo, and essentially they are. But they've just got a placebo effect that they're around people, they think they're safe. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. So, yeah, either do it properly or just accept it and don't preach it. There's a lot of people out there preaching don't dive alone and stuff, but I bet you half of them are essentially diving alone most of the time. So, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That's why I bring it up. That's why I bring it up and talk about it, because
yeah,
like when we were diving in Guam or in the tropics, we were going deep, relatively deep, right? So anytime I say 60 feet or 20 meters or deeper, or even 50, like, not fucking around. We're diving either, and the other thing is, like you said, especially in California, it's like, as soon as you get in the water, like, everybody goes their own direction, you know?
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But if we're diving deeper, it's like, we'll link up, my buddies will dive. But other than that, if I'm 20, 30 feet of water, I just basically call it snorkeling,
Yeah.
I'm snorkeling, and then keeping all my dives around a minute at tops.
Exactly, and that's most of my dives. I don't push it at all. Like, and you don't need to. If you get your hunting techniques right, you can dive shallower and shallower and get good fish. Certain parts of the world, not all parts, but yeah.
But in places where that is required, it's like, we don't fuck around at all with that. That's what's crazy to me when I hear people dive in their watches. Like, we're diving to 100 feet, no buddy. I'm like, that's fucking crazy to me. But on the flip side, here I am diving 30 feet pretty regularly in my backyard. Yeah,
but, I mean, the danger's always there. No disrespect for people listening who have had buddies die and stuff. And I'm sure, like, I'm only 33, the rest of my life, I'm sure I'm going to probably encounter something. Hopefully not. But yeah, one other point I'll say on that matter is guys who have like freediving training and like pushing it insane depth, not depths, like distances underwater and pool training and stuff, and to blackout. There's this one thing I'm like adamant I never ever want to do is blackout even once, because I swear your body will be able to learn that, and if it knows it can switch itself off, especially if you're like in a training situation where people save you and you survive in a pool, and your brain knows it can do that, well, it's going to do it again. You look at concussions and whatnot in combat sports and rugby, it's a very common correlation. Like, the more concussions you have, they just increase because your body knows it can do it. Like, the guy has one concussion, have two, and then they just start happening more and more, and then they retire. Your body adapts, man. And so just never black out is my advice, I think.
It's like,
right?
Yeah, it's like heat. When you get a heat casualty or any kind of heat illness, it's that much more likely to happen again. If you get like heat exhaustion or heat stroke, it's the same thing. Hypothermia. For me, I know the concussions well. I've had 12, and it completely ruined sports for me. Like, I had to stop, and it caused a lot of problems. So I definitely don't fuck around with that, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I swear now, like, the concussion thing is not fucking cool. I told someone I had 12 concussions, like, documented, and this is years ago. I didn't know it was like a bad thing. I just knew I had a lot and I had to retire. I couldn't box anymore.
Yeah, man.
And then I told a neurologist that, and they're like, what? And I was like, yeah. So, and then I forgot I have a funny story about that. I went to a jiu-jitsu class and I was training. I was tired, and it really comes up when you're tired. You get tired really easy with the brain issues.
You're right.
And I forgot that I drove myself to class. So I waited there for like an hour for my wife to come pick me up. And I called her. I was like, where are you at? She's like, what do you mean? I go, what? Well, I'm waiting for you. She's like, oh, you drove yourself. I go, oh, fuck.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
Gary, I've had a couple in rugby back in the day, and that was well before like all the concussion stuff came out, knowing the dangers later in life and stuff. So haven't had as many as like professional guys, but don't know, got to be a bit scary down the line. But hey, hopefully, modern medicine and stuff can sort something out. Some miracles.
I mean, it was a good time getting those concussions, I guess, for the most part. But I definitely
wouldn't regret it at all.
Exactly. The only thing I feel bad about is like my poor family that has to deal with the shit sometimes with all the different weird things that come with concussions. But I gotta let you go. But
good man.
Ollie, good times, man. Good shit. Keep doing your thing. Looking forward to your adventures in the Solomons.
Yeah.
And anywhere else you go.
Yeah. Likewise, man. No, good chatting. And we might see you in New Zealand next year, man. We'll see you.
I'll let you know if I do come down there.
Actually, I'm heading over to kind of Europe ways next year, mid-year. So I don't know what's happening around that time of year, but I'd like to pull through the States again. It's been quite a few years, so we'll see.
All right. Good times. Thank you.